Hey, welcome back to another podcast, people. And today's guest comes all the way from Vegas. A genuine TV personality, having had his own TV show and making numerous appearances on the popular series Porn Stars. We're here with Jason T. Smith. And we're going to be chatting about his reselling life, TV appearances, his love for all things TIKI, and we're going to be talking about pivoting and evolving your reselling business when opportunities arrive. It should be interesting, so see you after the intro. Hey, I'm Car Boot Chris. I'm a full-time UK online reseller. I operate mainly on eBay and also Whatnot, but also some other platforms as well. I'm going to bring you regular podcasts all about reselling, hopefully to keep you company, to entertain, or maybe to educate. Who knows? Welcome to the Everything Reselling Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast. It's Series 2, Episode 8. So it's good to be back, having another good chat. My name's Car Boot Chris, in case you didn't know. I'm a full-time reseller, YouTuber, whatnotter, eBayer, thrifter, whatever you want to say. And that's what I do for a living. And we've started this series of podcasts to chat to different people in the reselling community all over the world, people who we've connected with over the last few years and made friends with, and people who've got interesting stories to tell that might inspire or educate or entertain. So that's the idea behind it. And today is definitely no different. We are talking to Jason T. Smith. He's in Vegas, baby, Vegas. And we're going to bring him on right now. Hi, mate.
Hey, what's happening?
Hi, Jason. You okay? Good to have you on. Thank you so much for giving the time to come on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on. It's I do a lot of my own shows, not so much anymore, but it's always nice to sit on the other side of the desk every once in a while.
I know it's a lot more relaxing, isn't it? It's more nerve-wracking for me. I have to sit here and hold the fort, whereas you can just turn up and whatever.
I got to tell you, with your I'll say accent, because it is to me, it sounds like you said I've been a frequent guest on Porn Stars.
Well, what is it then if it's not Porn Stars?
Yeah, it's pawn, but it sounds like you're saying porn.
It's the same thing. It sounds the same here in the UK.
I know. What I'm saying is, I'm like, well, I don't know if I've been on Porn Stars anytime soon.
Well, I can't say it any different. It says it says the same thing.
Oh, I know. I was just
Do you want
it made me
to?
laugh.
I know it's all right. Do you want to give yourself a bit of an intro?
Sure. My name is Jason T. Smith, and I've been thrifting since I was 6, and I've been selling online for the past 25 years. And making videos and teaching classes, and those things led to getting my own TV show. It was on Spike here in the United States. It was called Thrift Hunters. It lasted only 2 seasons, sadly, because Spike was being bought out by Paramount, which we didn't know. So they got rid of every show but 2, and we were one of the shows they got rid of. But then Pawn Stars hired me to be a professional thrifter on their show for a while, and here we are. And I like teaching people, so I like when Chris asked me to talk. I like to inspire people. This has been my full-time gig for 16 years now. I haven't had a real job in that long, so I'm an old timer.
You've got a lot of stuff going on, haven't you? You've got a lot of different branches and aspects to your business. Like different business interests and different incomes. You must be really, really busy, and you employ staff as well, don't you, to do different
Yep,
things?
I currently have one. She is amazing. Her name is Crystal, because I'll definitely be talking about her when we get to talking about my new venture, because she's an integral part of it. And I've had to sit. Well, one thing I learned, Chris, way back. It took me a long time to learn it, though. But every year, I got to the end of the year, and I essentially sold the same amount of money every year, year after year. And I thought, what the hell? And then I realized there's only so many hours in the day. I need help, and so I hired my first full-time part-timer. So they work 20 hours a week, typically 8 to 12, 9 to 1, that kind of thing. And then business increased and increased more than what I was paying them. So then I'm like, duh. So I've had good assistants over the years. I've had some crummy ones, but my current one is amazing. And I said something the other day, just off the top of my head, that if I had an HR department, it probably would have been problemsome. I'm like, she did everything right. Not that she shouldn't, but assistants, it isn't their business. So sometimes she did so many things right that I was expecting one to be wrong. Not that I think she's bad, but I said, "Oh my God, I could kiss you," and I'm like, "Well, why did I say that?" I'm like, not literally.
So you're
But,
in you're in Vegas, Las Vegas, and it sounds all glitz and glamour. What's it like living in Vegas?
Oh, it's awesome. It is the best place we've ever lived, and here's the sole reason: we're very social people, my wife and I. We like concerts and sporting events and Broadway musicals and going out to the different tiki bars here in town. And the great thing about this city is everything you need in the city is in a 5-mile straight line with little tentacles off that line, and there's nothing else elsewhere. Like my wife works and lives part-time in Phoenix. You can go from one corner to the other, and it'll be over 2.5 hours just within Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then here, every place I need to go to is 20 minutes or less. Every single thing. And then once you know all the side doors, the back doors, the back alleys, living here is awesome because you can move in and out of places real quick. And so we like that. If you're a homebody, wouldn't mean much to you, but if you like going out and seeing things and doing things, it's a great city. Plus, you get to gamble in the grocery store. So I like it.
That's mad, isn't it? That you can gamble there. Pretty much gamble anywhere. Have you been in this new dome thing yet? Have you been in this new big spangled thing?
Not yet, because U2 is fine. I've seen them many times, and the prices were crazy. And then the two coming up, the two new residencies are Fish and the Grateful Dead, and I don't care for jam bands at all. And so the Eagles are supposed to do a residency in the fall. I'll probably go to that one.
Sounds good. I mean, it does look.
But they also
cool,
made a movie for the thing, and so I think Stacey and I will be seeing that sometime this spring. They made a movie with a camera that was so huge and high tech. It takes 8 people to turn the camera on.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's mad. So let's talk about Jason's sort of empire, if you like. So without giving away what your new business opportunity is and what you're branching out into at the moment, without giving away that, because we'll talk about that later. How does everything else look? Where's all your incomes coming from? All your different ventures and platforms, perhaps, that you operate on?
So I sell on 10 platforms. My top 3 would be Amazon, eBay, and Discogs. For those who don't know Discogs, that is a website solely for selling music, records, CDs, cassettes, 8
We have it.
And then right below that is probably Macari, and my Posh took off. I know you guys don't have Posh anymore, but my Posh took off this winter when I was selling new in box tiki mugs for a lot of money. I'm like, oh, and I've sold on Posh before. I kind of stopped paying attention to it, went back to it, and then I looked at some things around my office that were on eBay and such, and I'm like, oh, this is much better on Posh. So not that I'm like, going to retire off of Posh, but I've been selling big ticket items. So Posh is my next one after that. And then I got Etsy and Facebook Marketplace and Nextdoor, which I don't think you guys have. It's an app for your essentially your neighborhood where you live.
We do have that, but it's not really taken off. I am on that, but it's not really doing anything at the minute.
That one does pretty well for me. So that's, those are I would say my first streams of income.
Yeah.
And then I have a private Facebook group where I've been teaching for the last 91 months. I number all my webinars. We do a webinar a month, and so I number all my webinars, so I know we're up to 91. And so I get income from that. And I was doing YouTube quite a bit, and I kind of retired from that. So I get a little bit of residual here and there, but nothing exciting. I sell for friends, and so we do a split. Friends who don't know anything about selling but have the things that I normally sell, the things that I like the most. I wouldn't sell typically for friends if they're like, will you sell these sets of silverware? I don't know anything about silverware, so I would say no. But with the friends who bring me music and bring me tiki mugs, I sell for them. So a good amount of streams of income.
Yeah, you've got quite a lot there, haven't you? You've got a lot going on. So is eBay still your main percentage, would you say?
I would say eBay and Amazon have always run 1 and 2 or
Yeah.
50-50, I would say. I lucked out and started selling on Amazon a long time ago, like 20 years ago. And so when they made you have to jump through hoops to sell music, I got grandfathered in. And so
Mm,
nowadays you have to turn in receipts where you got your wholesale from,
yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
You've been
Have also
lucky there.
never caused any problems. So I got grandfathered in. And I know it's a thing not everyone can do, but I sell a ton of music on
Yeah.
Amazon, especially Christmas. I'll make like $4,000 to $5,000 just in the 6 weeks of like the last 2 weeks of November into the month of December. Just some regular stuff, but I specialize in Christmas music that time of year.
Yeah. I've been lucky enough to be out thrifting with you, and you picked up Christmas CDs at various times of the year, and you're always picking up that stuff, aren't you? All the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Funny enough, I just picked up my wins from an estate sale auction, and the entire everything I bought was all Christmas decorations, and it's
C-
March.
Considering you've got so many sort of platforms and things going on at any one time, we've got a little question here from Tommy Trades in the YouTube chat, who says, "How do you separate and prioritize what you focus on at any given time?"
So I can teach people a lot of things: what to sell, how to sell, especially music. The one thing I am not great at is planning my time, and I have a work table at home in front of the TV. So at nights when my wife and I are watching TV together, I have 2 tables and 2 monitors. And so whatever I need to get done during the day in my office, I take home and work on. But I'm with my wife. We watch TV together. It works out. But you see those things that are like, oh, this person needs to know this right away. So of course that goes to the top.
Yeah.
And then we've been trying to clean the box issue in the garage, and we're almost done today. So that has been something I wanted to do for 3 months, but that kept getting pushed to the wayside because it wasn't detrimental to life, but the way we've now cleaned and organized it, it'll be now really good for life because it'll be quicker to grab a box kind of thing. So I make sure that the must-haves get done, and then I just work on everything. And
Yeah.
I kind of like Chris had set up here at the office. I have 3 monitors and a TV that can be a fourth monitor. So I have 72 tabs open, and I'm working on every aspect all
Wow.
the time.
That's mad. That's mad. That you put
Yeah,
a
my
lot of
assistant
hours
doesn't
in.
like tabs open, and so when I go to her work area and I leave, and she just yells at me, and she's like, "I had 4 tabs open, I now have 17." Like, sorry.
Like, how many hours do you think you put in like a day or a week or whatever?
I put in a shit ton of hours, especially because my wife lives in a different state right now. So there's no
There
pull
isn't
of,
that
"Hey, honey, we
distraction.
should
Yeah.
yeah, we should go on a romantic walk," which I like to do, or get to dinner, or to gamble, or to drink, or whatever. But when we do spend our time together, in either here or in that state, we definitely enjoy it and really spend a lot of time with each other doing things that aren't work related. But I end up working on most days. I probably end up working about 10, 12 hours a day. But half of that is sitting in front of a TV. My wife and I have worked it out. We FaceTime 4 hours a night, and then we stream the same shows in each of our houses. And we go
Ah.
3, 2, 1, and we hit play. And
Ah.
so while we're watching the same show, I'm still working, but I love it, Chris. When I work long hours for somebody else, I hate it every minute of it.
Mm.
Working for myself doesn't bother me one bit. And I've been working my whole life. I was a dual income 11-year-old. And no 11-year-olds had jobs back in the 70s or early 80s, let alone 2 jobs. So when I was 11, I always had like $40 in my pocket, and like 1980, I
What were
always
you
had 40
doing?
bucks rolling.
Or
I
should I
had a
not
paper
ask?
route. I had a paper route, and I was cleaning pans and dishes at my grandparents' restaurant.
Wow.
So I got 2 paychecks a week at 11.
That's awesome.
And I've been
That's
like that my
amazing.
whole life.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, talking about your reselling stuff, like, what are the main things that you sell, or that you like to sell? Like, what's your preference? Like, the main couple of things, and also, where do you tend to source most of your resellable stuff from?
Main thing is music for sure. Right now on Amazon, I got about 12. No, about 1,600 pieces of music, CDs, cassettes, and records. On eBay, I probably have another 1,000 pieces of music listed. So music's my main thing. I'm a music nerd. I still have an entire CD collection that takes up a whole wall. I got 4,000 CDs in our house, all alphabetized. So I
Jesus.
know music really, really well. I teach a lot of classes about flipping CDs, flipping cassettes, flipping records, because I go to a record store and it's like a military operation. I hit the specific sections that will always have amazing
Mm.
stuff. And
Yeah.
then depending on the time of the day, if I'm with somebody or not, then I might hit other things too. But if I only have like a 2 hour window, I'm definitely conquering, for instance, the soundtrack section, because there's so many soundtracks that are worth crazy
Mm.
money, and then go from there. And so a lot of my sourcing gets done at record stores, and I'm paying their prices.
Yeah.
But no matter the record store, whether it's the smallest mom and pop or the big amoeba in Hollywood, they're pricing for the people who walk in the door. I'm pricing for the entire world. So I can
Yeah.
price my stuff higher
Yeah.
because I'm not just thinking about the locals that are coming in. And they'll do things like they'll sell CDs for $50 and I'll buy them and then I'll sell them for $150. Of course, I would love to find that CD for a quarter, like my mom finds everything for a quarter
Mm.
when she thrifts.
Yeah.
But I will happily pay $50 to sell it for 150 every day, every day. So music stores is a lot of my sourcing. I don't really oddly thrift as much as I used to in regular thrift stores, but friends were in town this week, so we went and did a little thrifting. And then a couple of the estate sale companies here in town, when COVID hit, people were still passing away and still needed estate sale. So what they did was they turned it into online auctions. And a
Right.
couple of them found out that it's much easier for them, much less staff needed, and they tend to make more money because the certain things that they thought, it's $20. If two of us get into a fight, now it's $40. So they get more
Yeah.
money. And I thoroughly enjoy sitting in my sweats on a Thursday night because the auctions close on Thursday nights. Throw my initial bids in, but if I get out bed, keep an eye on it, and then I pick them up on Saturday. And so there's no waiting in line and hoping you get the things you saw in the pictures. This way, depending on how deep your pocketbook is, you'll get everything you want.
Yeah. That's
So that's
great.
been a lot of my sourcing, and the one main estate sale company, they have hit some amazing houses in terms of the stuff that I would look for. I've been making crazy money. I bought a bar, like a bar for your house, but it's on wheels so you can move it around.
Yeah.
And I paid $54 for it. And the owner of the estate sale company said, I thought that would go for more. And I said, yeah, so did I. The bar itself was worth $1,500. I sold one set of glassware for 150. It had a whole bunch of other glassware. So from the contents, I'm going to make like $500, and then the bar will bring me around 1,000 to 1,500. So all that for $54. So that is a great way to source if you have them in your area.
So it's mad that you can get so much stuff from other professional sellers at record stores, because
Yep.
why aren't they online as well, like you and us?
Well, they are, and I don't know that. And Chris, tons of people ask me that question. They are online. They don't have everything in their store. Their store is huge with millions of pieces of music. But I don't know if they're pricing it just so that the average Joe can buy it or what. But if I spend less than $500 when I'm at Amoeba in Hollywood, it's a weird day. Typically, I'll spend $500 to $800, and that $800 will turn into like $3,000 to $4,000. And the great thing about
Wow.
CDs is, think about all the stuff we all sell. CDs are all 4 ounces. They're all the same size, shape, and weight for the most part. There's doubles and box sets, but you don't have to learn how to ship anything different ever. So that's the
Mm.
joy of media. Once you know how to ship a record, once you know how to ship a CD, once you know how to ship a cassette, you're good, and you can teach anyone else to do that, the shipping for you, because it's the same process. Now, if you and
Yeah.
I sell lamps, well, every lamp's a different size. You know,
Yeah.
and then you're having to think, okay, this one's taller, this one's fatter, this one, the shade's more fragile. That's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah. Um, let's talk about TV and having your own TV series. I mean, that's cool, isn't it?
It
That
was
is
to a degree,
neat.
but my partner was a big POS, and so it it unraveled real
A
fast.
big what?
Piece of shit.
Oh, okay.
POS is a slang for that.
Okay. Didn't know that.
In the first episode. So what we did when we got the show, he got a call from a production company in Montreal. And I was actually home from my uncle's funeral. And he called me and said, "Hey, a company wants to make a TV show about us." And I'm like, that doesn't happen. You don't just get that call out of the blue. Like, we weren't out there selling ourselves that we wanted a TV show. And I said, "Well, tell them I'm, dealing with this and I'll be back home in a week or so." And so it was real. And so they sent a one-man team down to shoot test footage with us. We shot for 8 hours straight on Saturday and 8 hours straight on Sunday. And when I got home Sunday night and put my feet up on the coffee table, my wife said, "How'd it go?" And I go, there's no show here, because I wasn't in the mode of, I wasn't understanding the little bits that would be good. I was thinking like, oh my God, we just shot for 8 hours. That is not exciting in the slightest. But
Right.
it was the finding of the stuff and then the selling of the stuff. And I said, plus, when you do TV, kind of like YouTube shows, you have to talk the whole way through. You can't just shop. Okay, I'm going to go through this rack here. Oh, what is this cool looking green shirt? Oh, you have to talk the whole time. You can't just be silent. And so
Yeah.
that gets, and I love to talk, but that gets exhausting. So when we'd shoot for a week at a time, and each day would be about 14 hours of shooting.
Mm.
Yeah. So coming home that next day, finally, I'm like, no one talk to me for 3 days, please.
Did it pay
So
reasonably well? Did you earn some money out of it?
no, and we walked at first because the pay was so bad. And we
Really?
said, nah, I don't want to be on TV that bad. And then they made the pay better. But what happened was, so when we filmed, we always filmed 2 episodes at the same time. So every day we had to have our change of clothes. So episode 1 and 2 got filmed together the whole week. And
Right.
so as we were transitioning to episode 2 on day 1 of filming, so here's a crew that has never thrifted, so they don't really understand how the thrift store works. And here's
Right.
guys who've never made TV, so we don't really yet understand how TV works. As we get off our lunch break and we switch into episode 2's clothes, I tossed my partner the keys to drive. And I go, "Oh, hey, what are we going to do? Just drive every other day?" And he goes, "I'm not allowed to drive." Now, this was my friend of 6 years, and he lived here or lives here. He drove every day. I'm like, "What do you mean you're not allowed to drive? You drive every day." And the producer and the director went, "He's not allowed to drive." And I went, "Someone want to fill me in what's going on?" So that's when I learned my good friend of 6 years owed like $35,000 in back child support. And because of that, didn't have a driver's license and had a warrant for his arrest. And I'm just
Oh,
like,
okay.
these are things you couldn't have told me as a friend ahead of time. I got to find out in the middle of day 1.
How does that work when you're putting yourself on TV?
Dude, craziest thing. His kids didn't even know he was going to be on TV until they saw a commercial. And
What a
so
nightmare.
I was like, man, that's not how I operate my life. Holy cow. And then
No.
in season 2, he ran out of money because he's so poor with managing his money. And it just was a train wreck. If we, little tidbit that not many people know, if we would have went to season 3, he was being replaced. My
Oh.
producer said, "Give me a list of 5 names who could be outgoing and effervescent and fill the spot." And a couple she had met, because we involved friends in almost every episode along the way.
Yeah.
And so I said, "I like these 2 the most." And she goes, "Yeah, those 2 would definitely be good if they're up for it." So I wish we would have got to season 3 just to get with a partner that wasn't just dragging me down every day.
What about porn stars then? Is that how you say it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Porn stars.
So they called me out of the blue and said, "He would like to hire you as a professional thrifter." I said, "Okay." And the original plan was to take Rick, the dad, out of the shop into not technically thrifting, but like maybe antique stores and vintage stores, and find things like I do that are way underpriced that he could get a lot more at his pawn shop. So I show up for day 1 and they go, or right before day 1, they go, "Okay, we need you to send us 25 things that you could bring in." I go, "Wait, I thought you guys hired me to take them out of the store." He goes, "Yeah, we changed all that." But they said it
Okay.
like they'd already informed me. I'm like, "Wait, what?" So now I got to go find 25 cool things that they would think was cool, send pictures, write up what it is, why it's cool, what it's worth.
Mhm.
And then, it was 25 things I was selling. So then they would pick the 6 that they liked. So unlike normal people who came in, I was a professional thrifter who brought in multitudes of items. So when we cut
Yeah.
deals, we cut deals on a big lot of them. And then they wanted to film an episode at my house to see my TIKI collection. And so the director on site goes, "Okay, so where's the items we're buying?" And I go, "I'm sorry, what?" She goes, "We're here to buy stuff." I go, "Not according to the emails from your producer." She goes, what are you talking about? So I show her the emails. I go, nowhere does it say you're coming to buy. Chumley just wanted to see my collection. And she goes, oh, we need to buy something. Now, the good thing is I always have extra tiki mugs. But
Yeah.
haphazardness of how they run the show it drove me nuts. It just drove me insane.
It must be interesting to see how that works, because when you watch an episode and if you've got no knowledge of the ins and outs of it, like, you just think people are walking in off the streets and selling stuff in there, but in reality that's not really happening, is it? Everything's set up, isn't it?
It might have happened in the first season. First seasons of shows, especially reality type shows, are always a little bit different, and then they get locked in. They understand what works. Like when we went to season 2 of Thrift Hunters, everyone now on the crew knew what worked and where we go, and so it was so much easier and smoother. So yeah, it's all pre-arranged, but it is people with their stuff. Sometimes they have people who the person who has this cool thing doesn't want to be on the show, so a friend brings it in, or they've had their internet girl come in like 5 different times with these cool things. And I'm friends with her. So one night I'm watching an episode and she comes pulling a little red wagon in with a piece of art in it. And I'm like, oh my God, they just pulled her out of the back room. But the other thing that most people wouldn't know is there's an entire fake pawn shop in the back of the actual pawn shop.
Yeah.
So we would often start in the real pawn shop, and then they would pick like 10 to 12 shoppers. Hey, you guys want to be in the background on TV? And so then they would bring it back to the fake pawn shop. I would walk from the fake door like I just came through the real door up to the counter. Those customers that were in the regular pawn shop are not milling about. So you never could tell.
Yeah. And we've told this story before, but you pretty much got me and Belle in on that, didn't you? We were going to be in the background of one of those filming sessions, but it was your fault for giving me the worst hangover ever. I was a bit late and they'd shut the doors, so it was too late, but we nearly made it. We nearly made it.
I'm sorry. I forgot about that part, that I gave you the worst hangover ever.
Yeah. Pepto-Bismol. We don't have that here, but it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, we don't have it here. I've never seen it in my life, but it's amazing, that pink stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You're just not a trained professional drinker. Give me a couple weeks, I'll whip you into shape.
No chance. I can't. I'm no good at drinking. Is there any more TV stuff coming in the pipeline, or?
Like a lot of things in everyone's life, COVID messed all that up. I had 2 different shows, and I didn't tell the other 2 each other about them in the works. And I'm like, all right, I doubt both will come to fruition because that's really not how it works. But if they both do, I'll have to really figure something out. But yeah, we had 2 shows working, and the one was with my original team from Thrift Hunters, and they were going to pair me with what's that woman's name? Maria Kondo, is that her name? The one that's like, if it doesn't bring you joy, throw it out.
Right,
so we were going to go into people's houses, and then she was going to help them straighten it, and I was going to help them sell it, the good stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So that was all ready to go. Also, I was supposed to be part of the resurrection of Baggage Wars, where you go to places that people who don't pick up their suitcases at the airport, they auction them off. And so they wanted to resurrect it with a whole new crew. So I was hired to be part of that. And then I had another show that we were working on, and then COVID ruined all of them. So I had 3 things in the hopper, and I was like, all right, one will work. When you have 3 working, one's got to work. And I'm like, cool. I'll go back on TV, hopefully with a much better partner or partners, and be ready to go. But it didn't happen. And then I'm like, I'm good. I did YouTube for a long time, and now we're going to talk, in a bit about what I'm doing new. So I'm good. It's one of those things where I had fun. I met a lot of great people. I met you. I mean, so the best part of that whole show was the friends I've made now along the way. So you being one of them. So that part of it was excellent, to meet people, to make people smile, to, because people would come up to me and say hi in the thrift stores. And, we were at that big weekend in Lille, France, where they have the mussel celebration, and they have that flea market that like 1 million people show up.
Okay.
And I'm a big dude, but I don't stand out much in a crowd of 1 million. And 4 times in the crowd of 1 million people recognize me. And I was with a friend, and he goes, wow, that's amazing. I go, right? There's so many people here. Like the
Yeah,
fact that I got
definitely.
recognized. So that to me makes it worth it. It just
Yeah,
they were happy to meet me, and that makes me smile, my heart smile.
it's amazing. It's a shame that you stopped. Well, you haven't completely stopped YouTube because you have done a few little bits here and there,
Yeah,
haven't you? A
mom and I
couple
all
of lives and
my
stuff.
mom's a
But
my
it's a
mom's a
real
stripper
shame because
too.
I really enjoyed like watching your videos, and I always rewatched your live shows because it was at a really late time here in the UK. But I always watched them back and had them in the background, and I learned so much from uh, your um, your Sunday. Was it Sunday night videos? It was Sunday
Yeah,
night,
we did
wasn't it? Or Sunday
Thursdays and
afternoon?
Sundays for a long time.
Yeah, I learnt loads of stuff, and it still translates across the water. You know, the basics of selling on eBay is the same in the US, in the
Yep.
UK, and you know, I got loads from those videos. So thank you very much for that.
Oh,
Um,
you're welcome. And anyone listening right now, if you've not seen me, Jason T. Smith, all the videos are still there, and we still, like Chris said, we do one every once in a while. My mom's a thrifter. She's 80. She kills it, and so we do things together. And she is not afraid to buy the biggest things and ship the biggest things, where I'm much more concentrated on small things.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So let's move on then, because the main topic of conversation was about sort of pivoting your business, finding a new opportunity and running with it and changing wherever you need to change to make your business better or bigger or different, whatever you need to do. And it involves your love for Tiki. So just before we go into it, just tell us about Tiki because you know, you're big into tiki, and you've actually even like got me into tiki. That's my tiki collection behind me. And I appreciate if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see it, but I have a little wall of tikis, probably
You've got
about
a good collection going, brother.
5, 10, 15, 20, 20. I've got about 30 to 40 tikis there. That's your
Do you
fault.
know? Yeah, I know. A lot of things are my fault. Imagine that.
So how did you get what? Tell us about tiki. Where does that come from?
Well, before I get there, so you got
Go
30.
on.
Do you know how many are in my collection?
I'm gonna say 5,000.
Well, I wish. 1,800 are out on display like yours are. So, yeah, but the 1,800, it's a lot to dust 1,800. And we only dust them all like 4 times a year. It's too much. Tiki. So there's a couple people watching live right now. And if you've never seen a Tiki mug, this is a Tiki mug. You go to the bar, which this one was from Hale Tiki in Georgia, and you get a drink in this mug and you take the mug home as a souvenir. And that's been going on since probably the 40s. The Tiki bar was born in 1933. And I think by the 1940s is when the first few mugs showed up, and then they really showed up in the 50s and 60s. And so my wife and I kind of discovered Tiki died in the late 1970s. It was reborn 20 years later in the late 90s. My wife and I had moved to LA area of California in 2000, and I discovered that Tiki had been reborn. And so we grew up in Cleveland where it snows and is gray about 6 months of the year. Now we're living a mile from the beach. We're living next to a lagoon, and we've got the whole Southern California vibe going on. And I said to my wife, we should change our decor from the Cleveland furniture that we came with to tiki and Hawaiian and beachy and piratey and put it all together. And she loved the idea. So that was 24 years ago. And now we have an entire 2-story house with full of tikis, Hawaiian, beachy, and piratey. But the main thing is the mugs, but we have art and actually carved tikis and
Yeah.
things like that too. But I collect, I buy, I sell, I trade the mugs. And so although I have 1,800 on display, I probably have about 800 that are in cupboards and behind bars that are
Oh,
ready
okay.
for sale or for trade. And it's a hell of a commodity. I sold a mug the other day for $800 that I paid $100 for just like 3 years ago.
$800 for a mug.
Yep.
Crazy. That's why I've started looking out for them all the time because you don't see them here in the UK very often at all. And most of these that I've got behind me have been bought over the internet. I've found that, I can count on one hand how many I've found in the wild in the UK. You just do not see them. There are tiki bars here, just
You got a
not
really good
very
one in
many of
London
them.
called Trailer Happiness. That is amazing.
I've been to one in Manchester called Lola Low, I
Yeah,
think it's called.
I think you actually messaged me from there when you were there that time.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah. And I've had some tikis from there, but other than that, there's very little. And whenever you see a tiki bar here, it's not very authentic from what I've seen of your tiki bars. It's pretty lame, really, most of them.
Trailer Happiness is really good. There's also another one in London called Sugarcane that's really, really good. And probably one of the best tiki bars in the entire world is in Paris. It's called Dirty Dick, and it's right around the corner from the Moulin Rouge, which I'll
Nice.
be at in October.
Yeah, lovely. Oh, that would be great, that. So,
But yeah,
okay.
so Tiki took over our lives, and it's part of my business because I have this knowledge, like my music, that okay, it's like, for instance, Stacey and I are going to be in Los Angeles this weekend, and Thursday night we're going to be at the Tiki Bar at Disneyland, and you can get a cocktail and a mug for $45. So that mug it comes in, I then sell on eBay for 90. So not only was my cocktail free,
Yeah.
I actually, when you work the profit in, I got paid to have cocktails at Disneyland.
Mad, isn't it? It's mad when you look at it like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we will have. She'll probably have one or two. I'll probably have two or three, and we'll get all of them in that same mug because the one mug they always have about 6 mugs, but the one mug always sells for $90. Always, always, always.
Yeah. Makes sense, doesn't it? Can
Yeah.
you just go in there and just buy the mug, and not have the drink?
So never. And then again, here's a good thing from COVID. They had such a surplus because, of course, the orders never stopped. The manufacturing never stopped. And all suddenly they're not open for months. And there's these crates and crates and crates of mugs coming in. So they had to make some space. So they said, okay, we're selling mugs. So all of us who collect and or sell came down. We're like, oh, 20 of this, 20. So they're just like 7 people are bringing mountains of bags out. And then someone new got in charge and said, no, we are not selling mugs by themselves, and ruined all the fun.
Ah, what a downer.
Boo.
So how does your love for tiki then fit into this new business venture that you've got into?
So I found a hole in a market that needed to be filled, and no one could fill it. No one was filling it, and no one was set up to fill it. And it was all very accidental. The story starts drunk at a tiki bar. If you hang around me long enough, most of my stories start that way. But I was with a new friend, and a friend again who was a huge fan of thrift hunters, and he lives in Phoenix near where my wife lives. And we had a mutual friend, and the mutual friend got us together because he goes, "Hey, my buddy Jeremy loved your show. Would you mind hanging out with me and him at a tiki bar one night?" I'm like, "Hanging out at a tiki bar? Yeah, sure. Yeah, no problem. I'll be there. I don't care who's there. Let's go." So Jeremy and I started talking. We became pretty quick friends. And the next time we hung out, Jeremy has a regular 9 to 5 job, but on the side, he is a tiki mug manufacturer.
Oh,
He can't draw, he can't sculpt, and he can't manufacture, but he has the wherewithal, like me, to pick the right ideas, have the right person sculpt, right person draw it, right person sculpt, and the right company manufacture. And so by the time we'd become friends, he had already had 4 or 5 releases. And I'm such a nerd for shipping. I said, "Oh, hey, tell me about your shipping area." And he goes, "I don't have a shipping area." I go, "Wait, you've sold 1,000 mugs by now." He goes, 1,100. I go, "Okay, you've sold 1,100 mugs by now. Where are you shipping them from?" He said, 8x8 card table. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, what?"
jeez.
And I go, "Do you have a peanut dispenser?" He goes, "No, I get the big bag of peanuts and I just take a scoop and I scoop them in the box." I go, "Holy crap, that must take forever." He goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it's not quick." And I said, like I said, we had a couple drinks in us. I go, "You should hire me. I'll do your shipping." And thus was born a new career. But I didn't realize it because I also kind of forgot I had said it. So 3 days later, he calls me and he goes, "You're hired." I go, "Great. For what?" He goes, "You're my shipper." I go, "Oh, yeah, we did talk about that." I said, "Okay." And he goes, "I've already got 1,000 mugs inbound from China to you." I go, "Oh, okay. I better figure this out quick
Jesus.
then." So we hung up. I told Stacy, I said, "I just started a new business, I think." And he, and a little bit of context to my life at that time, I needed both my hips replaced. And this was,
Mm.
I had them replaced in January of 2023 and March of 2023. And so this was October of 22. And all suddenly there's 1,000 mugs in my driveway. And I am
Oh,
so
God.
crippled. I'm using 2 canes to walk around at this point.
Jeepers.
And I'm like, thank God the truck driver had a pallet jack and it was motorized to drive them up my driveway and put them in my garage. So now I look to my wife, I go, well, we have 1,000 mugs in our garage. I better really figure this all out. So luckily I figured it out with a friend. So we kind of figured out how to bill and keep track of everything. And then that first day that he had that mug go live for sale, overnight, he sold 100 the first night.
Right.
And so my sister and I had, the only thing we did to prepare was we thought maybe he'd sell 100, and we were right. And we got 100 boxes ready. We essentially taped the bottom of 100 boxes. So then we peanut, and it took me and her a little bit to figure out the flow. Should we both be working on 2 different boxes? Should we, happy like a conveyor line? And we finally got it dialed in. And so that later that day, I called them and I said, all right, we're going to get faster, but we got 100 mugs shipped in 2 hours and 14 minutes. And he goes, 2 hours and 14 minutes. It took me 16 hours to ship my last 100. I go, 16 hours? Well, 8x8 card table. There you go. And he goes, dude, you saved my marriage. Because I just gave him back all those hours in his life. And so it wasn't gonna, it started out as, okay, cool, I got this, I have a client now. But then I went into the first hip surgery, then the second. So of course there's nothing I could do at this point. And he's had new mugs show up. So we're shipping his. And then I end up in May where I'm starting to feel pretty good. I'm at a industry event for TIKI bartenders and bar owners, and I'm teaching all of them the history of TIKI.
Right.
And while I'm teaching them, I'm sitting next to my friend who owns one of the premier TIKI bars in the world. It's in Phoenix called Undertow. And I looked at him because we were both speakers, but we were downtiming and we were just sitting there talking and drinking. And I said, hey, you guys have amazing products, and people all over the world, many of whom will never get to Phoenix, Arizona in their life, want your mugs. You should hire me right now. And I go, you're leaving so much money on the table. He goes, you're right. He picks up his phone, calls his wife and his business partner and said, we just hired Jason to ship for us. Get him set up. And I go, shit, I really found a hole in the market. It is so easy. I just tell people to hire me and they do.
So if only it could be that simple, but it was for
I know.
you.
I didn't think of it like I said before, this wasn't this grand thought out plan where I wrote like a 20-page business plan. It was just had an idea that fell out of my mouth, and then looked at my buddy who was leaving money on the table, and I said, I can help you to bring that money in. And then over like a 2-week period this winter, I picked up 6 clients in 2 weeks. Because now the whole office is set. The big thing was we're changing the office over from this whole eBay enterprise and Amazon enterprise to eBay and Amazon. All those things will be the side hustle, and the shipping will be the main hustle. So now everyone's got to have their own sets of shelves and all their products. Yeah. And then we have to have the exact boxes for all those products because not everything is the same size. And when I would just tell other people, the main tiki bar I hang out in Vegas, they sell online, but they do a bad job at it.
Right.
And the part owner was doing it. So they didn't even have an employee do it. They've been shipping. And I found out they were waiting in line, Chris, at the post office every day for 15 years.
Jesus.
While running a tiki bar.
That's mad.
And so we were there on Christmas Eve, my wife and I, because we live in Vegas. We like to go gamble and drink on those kind of holidays. And I saw the owner come in to drop off some booze, and he was just at the end of the bar by himself drinking a club soda. And I walked over. I said, you guys could do better at selling online, and you should hire me. And I explained how I do things. And he goes, all right, yeah, sounds good. I'll talk to the other owner, the main owner, Moss. And then I got hired. And that's how it went. My friend runs a tiki bar up in wine country, and I was there with him on Thanksgiving at his bar, and I said, you should hire me. And he goes, we're going to try it on our own first. 6 weeks later, he goes, you're hired. That was enough.
Yeah.
Because all those people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, owning and running a bar.
Yeah.
And some of them are bar restaurants. Although they can make a lot of money selling online, that ain't their specialty, but it is mine.
Yeah.
Because I can ship anything, anywhere, and be good with it.
So where are you operating this from now? If you've got like 6 clients and all these mugs coming in, is this still going from your home?
Or... Yeah, but those of you who are watching right now, I'm actually in a house that I own that isn't the house I live in. The house I live in is 4 doors that way.
Oh, okay.
So by pure Luck, not so much for her, but an old lady lived here, and she was in hospice, and her adult kids wanted this house sold quick and under market value because they didn't want to fix anything. Not that there was major things, but like the flooring was old, the shutters are old, whatever. And people who wanted to buy the house to live in wanted everything fixed. And I said, "It's got 4 walls and a roof. That's all I need."
Yeah.
And so they happily cut us the deal to sell this house. And it's also, Chris, the best business move I've ever made because this house has almost doubled in worth since I bought it 4 years ago.
Right. Yeah, fair
So
enough
when
then,
we're
yeah.
done with this,
It's a
I will
good
have a
investment.
hell of a profit. So I essentially walk 4 doors as my commute every day. And I'm in the master bedroom that is my main office. The first guest bedroom is our photo studio. The other guest bedroom is where the mugs for the client started, and now out in the living room and the dining room, which would be, I mean, they're not obviously. Everyone's got their own set of shelves with all their merchandise on it.
It's amazing that you've got that set up because, I mean, obviously most people won't be able to do that, but that is amazing that you've managed to do that. And how does it work out financially for you? Can we ask, like, what kind of money do you make on each mug that you ship? You know, does it work out well? It must do if you're doing it and you're getting more
Yeah,
clients.
because I'm still on my starter pricing because I want people to be amazed and come in, and then next year we'll kick up the price a little bit, like any company does with any product, really.
Yeah.
But it's $5 a mug and $2 for the shipping supplies. And
Plus
people
on
are like,
top,
"Geez."
they have to pay for the actual shipping amount.
Right. So what we do is, and this was a kind of an accidental thing too. Here in the States, we have a company called Pirate Ship that gets
Yeah.
pretty amazing shipping rates, and I use it every day. And then my first client was using it too, and so we were sitting down going, "How are we gonna get me the labels or the addresses?" And then I thought, "All right, look, you trust me with thousands of dollars worth of your merchandise. Just give me your login for Pirate Ship and have
Mm.
your corporate credit card on file."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, that works." So every client has done that. So we just log in and log out on Pirate Ship all day long of all these different clients and my stuff too, obviously. And so it makes it super easy because again, having a staff, I'm going to get by the end of the summer, I'll have an assistant for my assistant to do the same thing over and over. Makes it easy. Makes it so I don't have to charge a ton, and it makes it seem very palatable to the clients because they're like, "Geez, only $5? That's awesome."
Mm.
And I'm like,
That
"Yeah,"
seems
because
pretty
also,
reasonable.
yeah, and it's repetition. We can knock
Mm.
out
Yeah.
100 mugs in 2 hours. So there's
Yeah.
$500 in 2 hours
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. How far do you think it can go this? Do you think there's a ceiling, or would you have to end up at a warehouse, or what?
Yeah, so I don't think there's a ceiling. I mean, there would be a ceiling for this house. This house is just a
Yeah.
small ranch, 1 story, 3 bedroom. Um, we are nowhere near the ceiling yet because also we're fastly moving out eBay stuff that has been sitting in tubs. Like we just undid a tub the other day that was packed in 2011. Whoops. So
Yeah.
we're moving fast to sell a lot of stuff. Some stuff we're selling in bulk. I'm going to be vending at a vintage fair coming up next month because we want to make the room for more shelves. We get the
Mm.
big metal shelves, we fill them up with the merch, and then the garage, I have the overflow. And what's nice about my clients in Vegas, I don't have to store their stuff. I just go pick up every couple of weeks what I need. So that makes my Vegas clients super duper easy.
Yeah.
But my goal is to have enough clients that I have to get a warehouse space with a loading dock because I get the delivery straight from China, and the need to buy a forklift because I love driving forklifts.
Yeah. I've driven one. It's fun.
Yeah, I did one for work for a lot of years, and I was never trained on it. Just kind of learned haphazardly. And if I get to that point, Chris, I'm really making a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean that'd be great, wouldn't it?
But
But
I saw this hole. No, here's
yeah,
how poorly Tiki bars ship, Chris. I bought 4 mugs from a Tiki bar in Seattle. The person they hired sent me 4 boxes, 1 mug per box. They charged me $22. It cost them $44.
yeah, it's stupid, isn't it?
So when I see that, because I buy a lot of mugs, I mean, I have my own collection. I buy mugs from bars I never bought from. If it's a good mug, obviously I wouldn't buy a bad mug, but I want to see how they're shipping. And then maybe they're
Yeah,
a potential client. Like
that's a
the
good
last one I
point.
was hoping to get as a client, they ship so perfectly. I'm like, maybe, but they're not in need.
Yeah, That's a good point, though. Yeah, you'll be able to identify a lot of potential opportunities.
I'm actually going to be at a bar in LA this weekend with some friends that has amazing mugs, and luckily enough, the new one drops today that people would buy all over the world, but they don't have anyone to ship. And that's how I get my clients. My most recent tiki bar client here in Vegas, I said to the owner who I'd become friends with, I go, "Do you know I buy your mugs for 100 or for 40 and I sell them for 140 online?" He goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah, because you're not selling online." He goes, "I got no one to, I don't know, I got no one to ship for me." And I put my arm around his shoulder. I go, "You do now."
Yeah.
And so he says, "Okay, you're hired." And then he started showing me all the new mugs. So he's got all these mugs coming that people will love all over the world. And he opened a second bar that isn't tiki, but it's going to have tiki mugs too. So I'm like, "Sweet, I'll take care of all your
Yeah,
stuff
you're
for
in
you."
there. In there, yeah.
Because I love shipping. So when we get clients, Chris, that send us, like we also ship for a whiskey company that has glassware and not tiki mugs and bar mats and t-shirts. Well, I never shipped this little whiskey drinking glassware before. So my sis and I, we put it on the shipping table and had to think about it for a minute. Some people wanted one, some people wanted four, some people wanted three. Okay, how are we packing all these little glasses? And so it took, always takes us a minute, but I enjoy that. I'm the weird
Mm,
person who enjoys shipping and figuring out the shipping issues you would have when shipping tiny little glassware.
yeah.
But then once I figure it out, I'm locked in. Cool. I'll ship
Yeah.
anybody's glassware now. I got it dialed in.
So has taking on this new venture, has it meant that some of your other businesses have been put to one side, or have they suffered a bit? Have you noticed any differences? Have you had to drop anything?
The only thing I dropped so far is YouTube, although we
Yeah.
do one once in a while. But we still have so much to sell that is mine. That's why we're working hard. But also it's, did you ever see the movie Money Pit with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long?
Yeah.
So he buys a house that they basically have to destroy it first in order to rebuild and make it
Yeah.
look nice. Same thing with this. The office was in decent shape, but as we started bringing these shelves in, because the client's merch was already showing up, all of a sudden the things that were there just got into big piles. And that's how the garage got away from us with the extra boxes. So we have been busting our ass the last 2 months to redo. We call it corner crush week. We crush a corner. We redo a whole corner, clean it out, sort it out, sell it, move it, trade it, whatever. And so we're pretty close to being done. The garage will be done tomorrow for good, and we're getting the rest of the stuff done. So yeah, I don't source hardly at all anymore. Maybe once or twice a month, where in the old days it was 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So I got
Have you
plenty of stuff to
found
sell. So we'll keep selling.
have you found any particular like challenges that you've needed to get over with this venture, the shipping company that you're building? What challenges have you found that you needed to overcome?
I think the big one will be on bars where I don't have a relationship with them. That essentially I'm cold calling. They
Yeah.
need my service. They can afford my service, and hiring me will make them more money. So now I got to figure out how to not sound like, "Have I got a deal for you?"
Yeah.
I've got a nice 2-page front and back color flyer all printed up. The back describes everything. The front shows the operations. Um, uh, and if I'm in your bar, it's real easy. I can sell my services. So, but there's some bars like I don't think I'm going to be in Texas anytime soon, and they got a bunch of bars, and I'm sure at least one or two could use my services. So I'm going
Mm,
to have to figure out a way to essentially cold call people and make them excited and make them understand that I'm not some just jerky schmuck who's maybe try to pull a fast one.
yeah.
But I've got a sheet now with all the clients I have, all their logos, and there's some big players in those logos where they're worldwide known bars. And
Right.
so my hopes are, oh, well, if Undertow and Frankie's and Capu and Red Dwarf use him, he must be good. They're not drinky dink little bars. They're the
Yeah.
major bars in the world.
Do these companies, do these bars, do they talk to each other? Do they move in the same circles? Are you likely to get like word of mouth expansion?
Yeah, that'll help. And the other big thing I'm trying to crack is I'm friends with Tiki Farm, and Tiki Farm is the biggest mug producer in the
Yeah.
world. A lot of bars use Tiki Farm, not everybody, but I've known Holden, the owner, for about 25 years now, and I got to get down there one a time he's at the office and basically say, "What can we do that you will allow me to put a flyer in each one of your boxes that goes to bars?" You know, what kind of business deal can we come to that you can help me promote because you're shipping to them every day?
Mm.
And then they'll know that there's this service out there recommended by Tiki Farm, that
Yeah.
will help you take your business. Because I don't got to be near you. And what happens is my clients who need mugs in their bar and then at my office, they just have the company in China split the order in half when it comes off the boat. So half goes to wherever their bar is, and half comes to Vegas.
Mm.
So we've got it all figured out. And so I just got to get to those people. But I think other people can ship, but I'm set up to ship
Yeah.
in mass. And I've got
Yeah.
one amazing assistant, and we're gonna get another one. And if we need another one, we'll keep hiring them
Yeah.
so we can ship around the clock, kind of thing.
If you end up with a flyer in Tiki Farm's orders, you're just gonna get overrun with clients. You're
And
gonna
that's the
grow really
goal.
fast. Surely you're gonna grow fast.
And the funny thing is, my wife is about 6 years older than me, and so I'm 53, and she's planning on retirement because it's in the scheme of our life at 58, retirement's around the corner for her. And
Mm.
she's like, "What are you doing starting new businesses?" I go, "Here's the deal, hon. Hole in the market that no one had fulfilled, that no one even thought about fulfilling. It's a business I can scale, and I can scale with others doing the work while I'm just hanging out with you in Phoenix, honey.
Mm.
And at the
Exactly.
end, it's a business I can actually sell to somebody."
Yeah, that's true.
Imagine I have 20 clients bringing me thousands of dollars every month, and someone would absolutely buy that business.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So
gotta
she
think
goes,
about that, haven't you?
"Oh,
You
you're
gotta
right."
think
She goes,
about the
"Keep doing
future.
this." Yeah.
Think about
So I
retirement
look
and
at it this way.
future.
Our retirement was already really good because she's planned it out well. But man, if I have a business that can make us money and I don't got to be here, even better.
Just keep it for as long as you can, can't you?
Yeah,
Why not?
pop in like once a month. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Well, it's amazing what you've built there just out of, a conversation with somebody, at a tiki bar and identifying a gap in the market and finding an opportunity and just running with it. You was like, yeah, go on and let's just do it. And it went well. And so you tried again and you found someone else to do it for and you just grew it like that. It's crazy how an opportunity can come along and it can just grow so quickly, really.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, not planned, but now thinking back, it's all thanks to thrift hunters. So yeah, I guess thrift hunters was a good thing because that guy saw my show, my first client wanted to meet me, and here we are.
Yeah.
Here I am, like 8 clients later. So oh,
You know,
I figured out I figured out how many packages I shipped last year between me and my clients. I shipped 2,897 packages last year.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
That's only gonna get bigger.
Yep. And I can't wait. It's shipping to me is fun. It's so weird. Most people like the thrill of the hunt. They like making
Yeah.
the money, which I do too, of course. But I love shipping. I love shipping. I love to see how fast I can get. Like, okay, we did 100 mugs in 2 hours last time. Can we break the 2 hour mark? That's kind of the goals I make. If we don't, life goes on, but keep pushing it.
What does Jason's empire look like over the next sort of year, or going into the future, is it gonna be an expansion of the shipping company and perhaps less of the reselling?
Yeah, for sure. I have 8 clients right now. So not all of them are ready to go. That's the new thing I got to work on because I have clients merchandise and they're not fully selling yet. I'm like, hey, get online. Stop what you're doing for 2 days and get online. But I have 8 clients, and my goal was 10 by the end of the year, and I had 8 by the end of January.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so I got to make a new goal. That's one thing about goals. If you hit your goal super early, in terms of, I said, I give myself a year, reset your goal. Don't be like, man, I got 11 months to find new clients. Hell no. I want 15 clients by the end of the year now.
See, some people
I
would
want to
be,
double.
I've hit my goal in February. I'm just gonna put my feet up now, and I'm just not gonna. I'm happy. I've hit my goal.
I see the big picture. I see, at our age, to go back to it, I see retirement as if you did well in terms of making money but putting it away, investing it and stuff, your retirement should be really enjoyable. And we have a hell of an enjoyable retirement set up. We're going to spend a year or two in New York City, enjoying the big city, and then retire to the Florida Keys and live on a canal with a boat
Oh,
and go home. and go hunting for nautical trash, which is like old crab traps and floats. That's kind of stuff people buy to decorate their houses. So even in retirement, I have ideas of making money, but it's fun. We'll be lounging around on a little boat, picking up things, stuck in it. Because the Florida Keys have like a dozen main islands that people live on, but there's like 1,000 small little islands everywhere, small
Yeah.
1,000 keys. And so things get stuck in those little islands. And I'm like, that's money right there. I've already watched YouTube videos, how to grow barnacles on bottles, that kind of thing.
That's an amazing plan you have there. You're gonna do it because you're determined and you've got a plan and it's already way ahead of what you hoped probably. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. What a plan that is. It sounds amazing. Right. Let's go to 3 questions, Jason, that
Sure.
I ask everybody who comes on the podcast. And the first question for you is, what is your best or most unusual find?
So I've been asked that on your show a couple times, other shows, and I'm like, all right, let me think of something new I have not talked about
Yeah.
in the past. I currently am selling some chairs that I paid $50 for that are worth $1,200 each. And I got a customer in Saudi Arabia,
Nice.
but we've talked about those chairs in the past. I wanted to come with something different. So there are a chain of stores, and actually I took you to one called Buffalo Exchange here in the
Oh,
United
yeah.
States.
I remember.
And what they are is they're like a record store in the way of they buy, sell, and trade clothes, essentially. So you bring in clothes to sell. You can either take cash or you can take trade, and then you go find other things in the store to take home. And they're so essentially they're just a curated used clothing store, but it's good stuff. Thrift stores have everything. Whether you donated a dirty white T-shirt, they'll probably put it out.
Yeah.
This is very much curated, and I find good stuff all the time, especially Chris on their Halloween rack. Because a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
times they put out things that look like costumes that aren't really Halloween costumes. And so probably one of my best finds was off the Halloween rack in the Tempe area of Phoenix where my wife lives. Halloween 2 years ago. It was a flight suit, but it didn't look like a flight suit like you would actually wear while flying a plane, military type thing.
Okay.
And I saw it in the Halloween rack and I thought, this is weird. But it also, the bottom of the pant leg zipped open and there was a different color inside. So the suit was red and the pant leg, and the inside of the pant leg was white, kind of
Right.
disco-ish. And so it was like $20. And so I'm like, all right, I don't know what this is, but I'll figure it out. And so I brought it home, and I have a huge Facebook group called the Thrifting Board, and we've got like 65,000 members in it. And so I knew with 65,000 thrifters and resellers, someone would know what this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I threw it up there, and they said, "Oh, it's called a party suit, and it's for when you retire from the Air Force. When you go to functions, you wouldn't wear an actual jumpsuit like a military, what you'd wear in the actual cockpit, but this is your
Okay.
party suit. So it looks like a jumpsuit, but it's a much lighter material. And then you've got your patches from the different missions you flew or the different conflicts you were in. And so you add them to your party suit. And then the little zip of that leg that shows different color shows you that it's a fun party suit. I didn't know, I never heard the term party suit before.
Wow.
Uh, way different than birthday suit, which means you're nude. And so there's a huge collectibles market for these things.
Okay.
And the bonus is the guy's name was on it. Of course, your name is embroidered on because it's your party suit.
Right.
And so I could easily look him up. He was a colonel. He had passed away. And obviously his family just cleaned out his clothes and just took them places, like sold them, dropped them off, whatever.
Wow.
And so when the smoke cleared, I put it at auction starting at I think $9.99, and I sold it for $800
Jesus.
right off
800
the
for a
Halloween rack.
$20
And
purchase.
yeah. Now for the
That's
viewing
amazing.
audience, do you have the picture handy?
Yeah, I've got a picture. For anyone listening here, I'll apologize in advance. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Music or something, I'm going to put a picture up on YouTube here for everybody else who is watching. I've just got the one picture, but that
Yeah,
looks
so there it is. Like I said,
impressive.
and you can tell by the collar, it's definitely vintage. But there's the different patches. He flew an F-111 in North Vietnam, and some of the other patches were groups he was in. And if you see on the collar there on the on your right side, there's a little
Yeah.
bit of white underneath, and that's the same white that's in the bottom of the pant legs. And so that is a flight party suit that if you ever find one, will get you lots and lots of money.
That's amazing. What a find that is. What a find.
And you got to, with those kind of things too, you got to go with your sixth sense a little bit. Like I didn't know what it was, but it
Yeah.
seemed like $20 with all these vintage patches.
20
I thought the patches
$20.
alone had to be worth $20.
Yeah, it's nothing, is it? $20. It's got to be worth more than that, hasn't it?
Yeah, and then the Buffalo Exchange here on this Halloween rack had 3 Disneyland uniform jackets for $24 each. Barcodes. I sold the first one for $400. So I love sourcing there.
I'd have definitely picked those up. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I know some right away. And I'm like, and I was waiting to trade in. I'm like, I'll take these right now while I'm waiting.
Great.
Like that's not a normal costume.
No, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that one. Right, the second question for you is, have you got a goal for yourself this year? Now, I think I know what it might be, but go on.
Well, definitely more clients like we talked about. But my really tactile goal is, so we shipped almost 3,000 packages last year. I want to ship 5,000 packages this year. So it's very much a one we can make the little meter on the bulletin board. Okay, for January we ship this many, for February, and as the rest of the clients finally get out their butt and get online, it'll really start to increase exponentially. And so my goal is to ship 5,000 packages this year between myself and my clients.
Yeah, cool. And the last question for you is, have you got some words of wisdom or some tips for resellers?
So if you're a new reseller, my 2-pronged tip is start with just stuff in your house. You've already invested in it.
Yeah.
Don't go outsourcing just yet. Just start with, okay, these jeans fit me 20 pounds ago. I'll sell those, kind of thing. Or this thing in the back of the linen closet that hasn't been touched in a year and it's some game that your kid used to play. Try and sell that. If you don't make money, you got to get your feet wet. You got to understand the flow of things before you dive in. Don't start with a $10,000 chandelier. And then once you've got that done, then the next step is not just a source in general, I would say. If you have a specialty, mine are tiki mugs and music, go to those 2 things first. You get your feet more wet by sourcing what you really, really know, and then moving on. For those that are experienced, I tell you, if you don't have an assistant, you should definitely have one. It does not have to be a full-time thing. If you have just someone come in 1 day a week to knock out all your pictures are the most gruntiest of grunt work. Because also you can teach anyone, okay, when we do a t-shirt, here's the pictures I want. When we do a tiki mug, here's the pictures I want and a video and stuff like that. So you should at least have someone doing your picture work for you.
Fair enough. Good tips. I like them.
Thank you.
I think that's pretty much it. We've covered a lot of ground in just over an hour. We've gone through Jason's life story of reselling, of tiki loving, of TV starring, and everything else in between. It's been a really great chat. I thank you so much for taking the time to come on. It's been really good.
Oh, you're very welcome. And thanks for having me on, Chris. Like I said earlier, the fact that Thrift Hunters made us friends, it makes me very happy. So I appreciate your friendship too, buddy.
It's awesome. Yeah, nice one. And hopefully we'll meet up again soon. Where can people find you at the moment? I mean, you've still got your YouTube channel up, so they can go and watch your videos, but they can still subscribe.
Jason T. Smith. I don't have a funny name on YouTube, just my name, Jason T. Smith. And
is there anywhere else?
And then my Facebook group, the Thrifting Board. Make sure you find the group. There's also a business page that people go, there's no one here. That's just the business page. The group has 64,000 and some members. So if you find a group, I'm in a Hawaiian shirt tiptoeing across the sand, says the Thrifting Board. So come join us. It's free. Thrifters, there's 20, 25 new posts every single day. Thrifters help each other, resellers help each other all day long.
Yeah.
And we share a lot of stuff and just tons of great tips.
I have put a link in the YouTube description to your Thrifting Board page. And also in the podcast description, wherever you are listening to this, there is links to Jason's page and YouTube. If you want to go and click on it and follow and go and check it out, you can do that. Other than that, I want to say thank you to everybody who's been watching here live on YouTube. And thank you if you are listening on your chosen podcast provider, which could be Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, Alexa, Deezer, or whatever else there is. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to give us a 5-star and download the podcast so that every single new podcast that comes out automatically gets downloaded. That's it. Thanks again, Jason. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one. Cheers all.
Bye-bye.
That's it for today's episode of the Everything Reselling Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, to follow, or to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode.